Okay, investigation 5.1, which is working with force vectors. This lab is you can break this down into kind of two parts. First part starts with teaching students what are vectors. Actually, they should have covered this kind of in the earlier chapters, but reminding them about force vectors, they have directions, and then connecting it to the diagrams or with the ramp with the car, looking at angles, so asking students questions, making measurements. All this leads up to making a prediction for what the force going down the ramp is going to be. That prediction can then be tested in the last part of this, where you actually use the velocity sensor to measure the speed, or the acceleration rather, it measures the speed, you use the slope to get the acceleration, and then you can use that to find the force. So it's kind of multi-step. This is pretty complex. One thing, I didn't see it on the materials list for this, but do make sure that you got out this part to attach to the back of your car, so that way it picks up the velocity sensor very well. And then another good trick to have with your students is before they start the data collecting is to make sure that you launch from here, one, for consistent results, but two, it's also going to not have your hand picking up any measurements from the velocity sensor and messing up any data. So that's a good pro tip. When you get to the actual experimenting part of the lab, again, they give you one of these setup screens, so you'll just want to match it up. Now I did set this up prior, so mine should match it, but just go ahead and make sure either you've set these up or your students can set that up. I'm going to go ahead and get the car all positioned before I hit go. So now he is all set. You get a countdown of 3 once you start hearing the and it's okay if this guy pops off, the marbles will stay on. And the main point, let's check out the graph. Hopefully we got some good data. And if you need to, hit zoom. That's how I tend to get my good data. And you see, starting from about here, going up, this is the part of the data that looks good. My hand's probably in the way. So right here on that slope. So what this suggests you do is you pick one point here, and you can either use the stylus to pick a point, or you can move across using these guys. And you can have them pick a point somewhere down at the bottom of the ramp. And you should get your coordinates for that point. Let's see here. My X is 0.75. That's my time. And then my Y is my speed. At that point it was 84.2. I'm going to move it up the ramp a while. Now my time is 1.2. And there's my speed there. And as long as you've got 2 points fairly spread apart on that slope, you should be able to measure acceleration. It tells the students that the slope of the velocity line is the acceleration. So calculating the slope from that, hopefully your math teachers are coordinating with you and the students will be able to do that. That might be a good cross-curricular activity. And then the students are answering questions. So the only data collecting in this lab is for this one graph. You want to make sure that students get a graph where there's a somewhat straight line going up. Doesn't have to be perfect, but then they're going to grab 2 points. You can either use the stylus to pick those or move across going like this, and you'll see the 2 points over here. Pretty good lab. Fairly tough concepts, but if you walk students through it, I think they'll do okay. All right.